If I hadn't been on probation, I'd have just run into him and knocked him the hell out of the way. That's the gospel truth. That is all I can tell you. If he'd ever touched me, I'd have probably killed him.
Hey there, NASCAR fans. Today we're revisiting one of the most legendary rivalries that defined an era, the intense and fierce competition between Cale Yarborough, Bobby Allison, and Donnie Allison. Buckle up, racing fans, as we take a trip down memory lane to explore the heated battles, memorable moments, and the iconic clashes that unfolded on the tracks. To truly understand the rivalry, we need to delve into the backgrounds of these three NASCAR legends. First up, we have the man known for his fearless driving and relentless pursuit of victory, Cale Yarborough. Hailing from Timminsville, South Carolina, Yarborough made his mark on the racing world with his speed, determination, and a hunger for success that was second to none.
He was a farm boy that crawled underneath the fence to go to his first Darlington race. He didn't let anything stand in his way, and I think a lot of people admired him for that and his tenacity.
This is the real tricky part of the racetrack. Getting into number 4.
Next in line is the Alabama gang's very own, Bobby Allison. Born in Miami, Florida, Allison was a force to be reckoned with on the asphalt. His skill behind the wheel and competitive spirit made him a fan favorite. Allison's journey in NASCAR was marked by numerous victories and a reputation for pushing the limits, both on and off the track.
Allison goes to the narrow opening, squeezing through between the slower car and the top rail, and Pearson follows suit. Down the back straightaway, a half a lap. For the Southern 500, it's Bobby Allison in the Chevy, David Pearson in the Mercury. And down for the checkered flag, and Allison has won. What a dramatic finish to this dramatic race.
Last but certainly not least, we have Donnie Allison, the brother of Bobby Allison, and another integral part of the Alabama gang. Hailing from Hueytown, Alabama, Donnie shared his brother's passion for racing and a natural talent that earned him respect among his peers. Together, these three drivers would ignite a rivalry that would go down in NASCAR history. The spark that ignited this legendary rivalry can be traced back to the 1970s, when Yarborough and Allison brothers found themselves battling for supremacy on the NASCAR circuits. The intense competition on the track quickly turned personal, setting the stage for some of the most memorable moments in the sport's history.
As Cale Yarborough comes screaming down off the fourth turn to put his Holly Farm Chevy 11 in the record books as the winner of the 19th annual Daytona 500. Victory Lane is a coveted piece of ground, owned by no man, shared by only a few.
Now, let's fast forward to the pinnacle of this rivalry, the 1979 Daytona 500. In the closing laps of the race, Yarborough, Allison, and his brother Donnie found themselves in a nail-biting battle for the lead. As they raced towards the finish line, tensions escalated, culminating in a dramatic crash that sent them spiraling into the infield grass.
It's all come down to this. Donnie Allison in first. Where will Cale make his move? He comes to the inside. Donnie Allison crows the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. They hit again. They drive into the turn. They're hitting the wall. They're head on to the wall. Into the turn already, spinning, sliding. The hopes for Donnie Allison vanish. Cale Yarborough trying to win his third. He's out of it.
What happened next was pure NASCAR drama. Tempers flared, and a heated altercation ensued between Yarborough and the Allison brothers, with fists flying and tempers reaching a boiling point.
A fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost.
A couple of very hard men, very hardly upset.
This unforgettable moment would forever be etched in NASCAR lore, showcasing the intense emotions that fueled this legendary rivalry. It couldn't have had a better cast of characters in the fight. It had Yarborough, who would win the Daytona 500 4 times, and who in 1979 was 3-time defending series champion. Bobby Allison, who would win the 500 3 times and be a series champion. And his younger brother Donnie, a hard charger who'd had some bad luck at the Daytona 500, coming up short 3 times before the 1979 Daytona. Beyond the Daytona 500 showdown, the Yarborough-Allison rivalry was defined by a series of heart-stopping moments. From close finishes to daring passes, these drivers pushed each other to the limit, leaving fans on the edge of their seats race after race. There were many more moments to the ongoing saga of their intense rivalry, but the brawl from 1979 remains unforgettable. Though Yarborough and Allison remained friends later, it used to be quite the opposite during their heydays as drivers. Let's check out what Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison had to say then about what happened during that race that turned into an epic moment in NASCAR's history.
Donnie had a strong car that day, but twice caution came out and I passed him down the back stretch and beat him back to start finish line, made my lap up. I could do it because I had already done it twice.
I knew Cale was going to try to pass me. There was no question about that. But I knew that he wasn't going to get under me before I got to turn 3.
Coming down the backstretch, when I pulled down to go by him on the inside, he just used up all the racetrack, and before I got all the way by him, he had pushed me all the way on the infield, and the car just turned and came back on the racetrack and got into him. I would have rather finished second than both of us end up in the wall, maybe one of us getting hurt or something, but I had no control over the car.
Everybody thinks that I ran Cale off the infield. I did not run Cale off the infield. It's proven on the tape that we showed it, the NASCAR showed it, the appeal and everything like that. And when he got me, I lifted, and then we hit in the door, and he went out in the infield, and he come back and we hit again. He went out in the infield, and at that particular time, he was out of control.
While both shared their version of the story Bobby Allison shared, what started that infamous fight. A few years later, in an interview when asked about the 1979 race, Cale Yarborough shared his version of the story.
I had Donnie set up on the last lap where I wanted him. I knew I could slingshot around him and win the race. And as we came down the backstretch, I'd already made up 3 laps during the race. Coming down the backstretch, he just pulled down on him to go by him, and he just crowded me off the racetrack and ran me off the racetrack. And it rained all night, mud everywhere. My car came back on the racetrack and got into his and pulled us both out of the race. Let Richard Petty, who was 3/4 of the lap down, win the race. It's pretty tough. It made me mad enough to fight, and that's what I did.
And last year in 2023, Donnie Allison opened up about his feelings on what happened during the 1979 Daytona 500 in an interview with Dale Jr.
The last restart, Hoss come on the radio and he said to me, don't worry about Cale. NASCAR says he's at least 5 laps down. We come to the next caution and he almost wrecked me going into the travel to make a lap back up. I said, Hoss, you don't wreck somebody 5 laps down. So anyway, we restart the race and I'm leading, Cale running second. 5 laps to go in the race. I said to Hoss on the radio, Hoss, don't talk to me. I know where I'm at. I know what's going on. I knew and I was prepared for what would happen coming off turn 4. I was not prepared for what happened coming off turn 2. I don't know if Dale did driving the car. I never looked at anybody in my mirror in the corner at Daytona Beach. I never did. Never looked up to see where anybody was. Well, we come around to turn 2, and he ran into the back of me. When he did, it knocked me a little bit sideways, and that's when he hit me in the door, and we got side by side. I can't answer to this day why I didn't whip his ass. And Cale and I had already pretty well had a words we were going to have. Cale goes over to Bobby, and I see him helmet through. What the hell's this about? So I go over and I grab Cale by the arm, and I spun him around. I said, if you want to fight, I'm the SOB you need to be fighting with, buddy. And how Bobby Allison got out that fast that day, I have no clue. I never touched a man, and he never touched me. And I said, the good Lord looked out for us twice that day. One time in the wreck, one time he didn't touch me. If he'd ever touched me, I'd have probably killed him.
Despite the differences in their stories, the fight isn't lost till date, and the signature NASCAR moment lives on, as the fans and community still see the photos and the replays. Blood and dirt, the fight still matters.
The 79 Daytona is the most talked about and the most important race in NASCAR history.
As we look back on the Yarborough and Allison brothers rivalry, it's evident that their fierce competition not only captivated fans, but also left an indelible mark on the sport of NASCAR. The legacy of these 3 drivers goes beyond the checkered flags and victory laps. It's a testament to the passion, grit, and pure excitement that defines the world of auto racing. And there you have it, folks, the epic rivalry that fueled the fire of NASCAR in the 70s and 80s. Cale Yarborough, Bobby Allison, and Donnie Allison. 3 names forever intertwined in the rich tapestry of stock car racing. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share your favorite moments from this historic rivalry in the comments below. Until next time, this is NASCAR In N Out on Essentially Sports. Keep the pedal to the metal.